Hi everyone, my name is Deyemi Okanlawon, and you're watching my cover on Accelerate TV.
Deyemi, so you've arrived?
I'm here right now.
No, I mean like arrived. You've arrived.
I'm here right now.
Okay. Like how we Nigerians say you have arrived, like...
Oh, that?
You don't arrive.
We're getting there. The journey has been... It's been a while, but where we're going is still pretty far.
Okay, so I can imagine. I mean, people say that breaking into Nollywood, breaking into any industry is difficult, really. But for you, how hard was it? Like, was there a struggle?
To be totally honest, I think I've had it easier than a lot of people. I did coming with an advantage.
What advantage was that?
First of all, like I studied engineering, so the way that I'm trained to think is a bit different, and so I'm applying an engineering mindset to. Give
me a very practical example of how an engineering way of thinking solves an acting situation.
So for this, it's not just acting situation, it's an acting career situation. So every time as an engineer you have a question in front of you, there has to be an answer. It's not some artistic course where you can give us a varying, set of answers, but so an engineer is trained to find the answer. So for me, an acting career was a question, a very big question. How do I succeed as an actor, right? That was the question. So I kept trying to figure out and kept tinkering with different ideas about what to do to further my career. So that's one way that, having this kind of mindset helped me.
Okay, what was your first acting role?
Ooh. Ever?
Ever. Let's start with ever.
My very first memories of acting must have been at about the age of 5.
What did you star in?
Primary school, stage plays.
I did stage plays too, but it didn't mean I was going to go into a full-blown career in acting. So
I was pretty good at it.
I was pretty good too.
I was phenomenal at it.
So was I.
I was a celebrity in my primary school.
Actually, so was I.
Oh, really?
Yes,
okay,
indeed.
And you're in front of the camera now.
Okay, so fair enough. So it worked out, right, for me. Okay, fine. Moving age-wise, give me a...
I think I did every, this Christmas plays, Jesus Christ, Joseph. I played every role from baby Jesus all the way to Joseph, the angel, the 3 wise men. And I remember having had a great time doing that. I was very, very, I used to read a lot, and I had a very good, very imaginative mind. And that kind of helped. And then I think sometime at about the age of 8 or 9, I did my very first TV commercial. Now the thing was that there were 3 kids. I was one of the 3 kids in this family planning commercial. Kind of tell Nigerians to be careful how they, and I remember that the other kids struggled with their lines, and for me it was a breeze. And in fact, that memory would come back to me years later when I had to make the choice, that decision of whether I was going to pursue or continue my career in sales marketing, or if I was going to just pivot into a career.
So why didn't you just go into acting right into like at university level? So
I don't know that it was much of a choice. I didn't even really think about it. My father was then an aircraft engineer. My mother, a baker, created these beautiful masterpieces with wedding cakes and birthday cakes. And so I had this artistic side, from my mother's end, just an entrepreneurial side as well from my mother's end. And from my father's end, this very logical type thinking. And I used to read anything. So I would read his engineering books, and when it was time to kind of like, we don't really get to decide what we study in secondary school. Just say, oh, you're good in math, you're good in this, you're good in that. Science student.
I don't know. I kind of knew.
Well, if you're good in those science subjects, you're likely to be pushed into
to be ushered that way. This is true.
Yeah, so that's how it happened. And then I decided, okay, I want to be an aeronautical engineer, aerospace engineer. Beat my father just a little bit, but then they don't do aerospace engineering in Nigeria, and so I studied chemical engineering at the University of Lagos.
And so when did you go off to New York Film Academy?
Well, I didn't go to New York Film Academy.
You didn't?
They came to me.
Excuse
No, that no, they. So I was part of this faith-based drama group.
Okay.
And I had done some, with my team, done some really incredible work, some concerts, music, dance, drama in church. And I think because of the work that we had done and to encourage us even more, the church leadership, gave some of us scholarships to go to this, training where it was Deyemi Okanlawon Film Academy. It's called the Deyemi Creative Academy now. And they were inviting the New York Film Academy, to do that. So there was a collaboration, and that's where I went.
This was after university?
This was after university.
Interesting. So you went to New York?
No, so they came here. The training was here.
I see. And then after that, that's when you got your first role?
No.
How long after when you came out cooked, so to speak, did you land your first role?
So I landed my first role before I went to training.
I see.
Yeah. Random conversation with some guy who I was doing business with his mom. I was then working with my mom, and I was selling her bread and cake to different stores. So my customer's son was around. We were about the same age. We just hit it off. So I had having this conversation. He talked about having studied engineering in the US. I studied engineering here. Asked me, what else do you do? And I said, I do a little bit of acting. And he was like, oh, okay. He has some friends who studied, filmmaking, I think in Texas. And they were now in Nigeria filming. They were going to do their first film. Would I be interested? Why not? This is just random, and so I went to this audition, and I got on stage because they took a hall, again, in University of Lagos, took a hall there, and they were auditioning everybody on stage. So there was people in the audience. I went up on stage and I delivered my lines, and they were like, yeah, we want you for the role. But then there were these other guys who couldn't afford to put together an audition, I think. And they were sitting in that audience watching. And they approached me after the audition and said, yo, we have a short film. I would like you to play the lead role in the short film. So my first audition, I landed 2 roles, one in a feature film called the ZR7. And then the other was a short film called A Grain of Wheat. Yeah. After that came the training.
I like it.
Yeah.
So dunk you in the water first.
Yep.
And then that's how you knew you were ready.
I think I've always been the kind of person who just wants to do his work. I didn't realize that the collateral, I call it collateral upside, to having a career as an actor is that people will get to recognize you. I just went with the mindset of I'm going to work in the morning, I do my job and I go home. And then people started to recognize me, and I was like, okay, it took a while for it to be real. It took a while for it to be real because I would always be surprised. It was like, oh, you're dead. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm on TV. And then it got even more. It was uncomfortable. As a matter of fact, at some point in my career, I struggled with it, and I started to wish, that I hadn't chosen to be an actor because it got too much.
Have you heard of imposter syndrome? Do you think, is that something you've suffered from?
Yes, I have, but at a much younger age. And so I learned how to deal with it before I even started acting. And of course, there were still moments when I did feel like, am I good at this? The self-doubt was there, and when I started to get a bit more noticed, a bit more successful, I would still question myself, and wonder if I'm really that good, But then I remind myself of how hard I work, training, preparing, actually filming. It's a lot of hard work, and that kind of like centers me and reminds me that, okay, maybe truly, this is deserved.
What are you charging these days? Okay, let's go back. What did you earn in your first role?
Ooh, in ZR7, I think I shot in Lorry for a few days. I must have earned about 15,000 there.
15. That's big money.
15,000?
That's a lot.
15.
In 2000 and...
15,000 there.
15K na money now.
Thankfully, I had a career. I think the next film was 10,000 or so for the short film. Yeah.
What are you charging these days?
Several zeros more.
How many zeros?
Quite a few.
Millions.
I've lost count of the zeros. Natasha, don't do this.
You don't want us to do?
No. It's a very dangerous environment. I cannot afford it.
Okay. Are you the highest paid actor right now in Nollywood?
Highest grossing actor. Two-time highest grossing actor for 2020 and 2021.
What films? Overall?
2020 was just off of Get the Saga, which became the highest grossing Nollywood movie of all time. But then that's for 2020. In 2021, there were quite a few films that I did. When they put the numbers together, I was the highest grossing actor for that year. But highest grossing is different from highest paid. I don't know that I was highest paid then. Arguably, I'm possibly, one of the highest paid now.
This year alone, you've done, I don't know, you've had quite a few films. I mean, you've trended your
I have.
Your cinematography deaths are on record. They're counting how many times.
Ooh.
How many times you've given up the ghost?
Yeah, that's happened a few times.
What do you have to say about that?
I mean, it's inevitable that when you're trying to just play varying roles, you come across, somewhere for the audience to feel the impact of that character. The character needs to come.
You strike me kind of as a loner, even though you have like this, I don't know if it's me, I feel like you have like this dual personality where one side of you is like ever engaging and fun, but then I think you're always alone.
I enjoy my own company. That's true. There are possibly only a few people that I have, a shared experience with, that we connect at a certain depth. But I have tons of, people that I would call friends, buddies, male and female. But yeah, about the dual personality, I guess it comes from very clearly separating my life as an actor from my personal life. I try as much as possible to keep the two of them away from each other.
You've been married for 9 years.
Yes, I have.
Is it deliberate that you keep your family? I mean, I guess it is.
Yes, it is. It is. So there are times when, there's like a significant thing going on, or I'm just like in a very, very, happy state, and then I want to share something personal with the rest of the world. Other times I'm very happy just, keeping my personal life personal and celebrating my wins privately, at home.
Let's talk about your friendships. Jimmy Odukoya.
Yeah.
That's your boy.
That's my guy.
That's your homeboy.
Yeah.
You guys had a brose moment on social media.
I think we've had several.
You went to hospital?
Oh, yeah. It had to be that one. Yes.
Yeah, because you don't often see that kind of like genuine display. People say that the industry is very fickle,
Right.
a lot of fake friends, frenemies, and things like that. What is it like being friends with someone who is another leading man, you know?
It's pretty easy. My friendship with Jimmy is pretty easy. But to the moment you're talking about, so I've been dealing with a condition for like 10 years. Had several conversations. It was obvious I needed to have surgery done. But I was so busy, I couldn't really take time off. One of the reasons was I couldn't take time off, apart from the fact that it was an uncomfortable idea to go into surgery. I was afraid to go into surgery. The macho man, it was uncomfortable.
Tough guy.
Yeah, I was afraid. And then, there was the fact that could I find the right surgeon to do this? So I suffered, and it got progressively worse. And so the years you were talking about earlier on, some of the years when things started to like really get much better, from 2019, that was the time I was in the most pain. Like I've been using pain medication for years, but then the pain medication stopped working. It was crazy. Trying to take time off work was gonna be difficult because as an actor, you're not working. And then if anything happens, if I'm gone for a protracted period of time, how to take care of my people. But I met this surgeon that made me feel so comfortable. It was highly recommended. From doctors even outside of Nigeria, they were like, oh, there's this man. And he, I trusted him. So we went in. And that's where Jimmy comes in, because, he's there. And I get this, what's that injection they give pregnant women to what's it called? I forget what it's called. Yeah.
Did your wife take it?
No, she didn't.
Okay.
She didn't. She's strong. Like, I don't want to go there because I was there for the first one. Scarred. And so I had that injection, and it just totally numbed me. And I remember waking up from that surgery, and Jimmy was there. I couldn't move. I needed to like go to the bathroom and stuff. And he would carry me, and he was just there. He was there when the first pain came, the
post-op.
Yes. Yeah, it was a moment. And I'm just happy that that there are people in my life, and Jimmy's clearly one of them who are there. Yeah.
He recently, of course, was one of the names for Woman King.
He was? I forget. I don't. Yeah, he was.
How did you feel for him?
Super proud.
It's not a lot of people whose egos can take that, or like their energy can take that kind of joy for someone else.
Oh no.
Did you read for that role?
Yes.
You auditioned for the role.
Yes, I did. And
does he know that?
Yeah, he does. The moment we found out that he had gotten the part, it made sense. I'm like, who else but you? Like, you deserve it. He was ready for that role.
What do you mean ready? What do you mean made?
He was ready, acting skill-wise, his physique, his look, he was ready, that role. And I sincerely believe that what's yours comes to you, especially when you've put in the effort, when you've laid the groundwork. And it just made sense. When I saw it, I was like, dude, it's yours. And I was with him. throughout the period, like video calls, like look at what Hollywood set looks like. Look at, we have trailer. I'm like, you have trailer, yeah.
You don't have trailer in Nollywood.
So as I was saying, there was.
I don't understand.
We have green rooms.
Okay.
Right, we have green rooms. Sometimes very, very interesting green rooms.
Okay, back to Jimmy. We'll come back to that.
Yeah, so I lived vicariously, through him on that set, and it was a great.
Did that inspire you?
Of course it did. Of course it did. For me, it was like, okay, so there's a possibility now. There's an opportunity here. The door has been opened. Mm-hmm. Let's kick that door down. So my targets have sort of changed. My career goals have sort of been adjusted because of what I've seen happen with him.
Is that part of the inspiration behind this? Because you've been getting ripped, you've been going to the gym, you've been working out, you're currently on some kind of meal plan situation.
Yeah.
Did that inspire? Is that part of the inspiration?
So Jimmy has always inspired me, to hit the gym. And he's brutal. He's brutal at the gym. So I don't like going to the gym with him. But he's definitely been a source of inspiration for that. And then, this part, it occurred to me that instead of waiting until there's a role that requires some kind of physical fitness, why not just be prepared all through the year? And so my mind changed from working out because of roles to just making this into a lifestyle, and I've been at it for a few months, and I've seen results, so I'm really excited.
We're gonna see some.
Are we?
We're gonna see some in the shoot. Yeah, we'll see. Well, we'll take you as you are. Stay ready. Get ready. So how did they say it? Get ready so you don't.
Stay ready.
No, get ready.
Get ready.
Is it?
Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Or get ready. Yes, you're right. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Yes, exactly.
Oh no.
Yes. Yes.
My whole career, I had focused on selling or promoting or putting in front just the quality of my work.
The craft.
I focused so much on that. And whilst that, looking back may have been a good thing, I also realized that there are some parts of this show business, this entertainment business that we're in that I kind of neglected. And so again, that's part of the things that I was looking at to say, okay, we need to change things up a little bit. Yeah.
So what is the goal for you? To be an ultimate sex symbol?
Well,
is that far from the mark?
So, the sex symbol thing, has been, kind of cute.
If you do say so yourself. Who are some of the good guys, some of the good people, industry people? Because in every place there's good, there's bad. But who are some of the people that have helped make your journey a little easier, made the load lighter?
I really am a product of a lot of help and support. I know if I start mentioning names in particular, then there are going to be issues. But I would say, especially when it comes to producers, there's some key producers that I've worked with that have changed the trajectory of my career. One of them, surprisingly, and most people may not know her, is Uduak Isang. Ogwamanam. And I pronounced that name correctly because she will kill me. She will kill me if I don't. So Uduak Ogwanaman has done a lot of these smaller size films, but she's a friend, and every time I struggled with stuff, even in my personal life, I had someone to talk to. So she became a very, very good friend. And she gave me opportunities when nobody else was giving me those opportunities. Another person I would mention is Mwabudu. Mwabudu, because Mwabudu works at the very highest level of filmmaking in Nigeria. So she's one of the very few people in that category. And working with her so many times, playing so many diverse characters, has sort of, and then, those products going onto global platforms has really just cemented, that perception in people's minds that, this is one guy who knows what he's doing.
Mo Abudu.
Yeah. She really is a phenomenal person. She is. You asked me about female mentors earlier. She's definitely one of my female mentors. You can't have worked with Mo Abudu and not having, it's not even encouraged, it's forced to be excellent. She's just that type of person. She's got balls. Like, the things that she has done. I've heard her, have certain conversations. I've been around her and, certain conversations were being had, and just the level of her vision and what she's trying to achieve and her drive, that would inspire any human being, yeah.
But nothing is perfect. I mean, she's had some highs, definitely had some lows. How in the industry how easy is it to bounce back? Like, you've been in some films that people have considered to be less than great, right? How do you recover when situations like that happen? Like, a film comes out and it's not received in the way you hoped for.
Yeah. You just have to have a very thick skin. I remember I was in sales. I'm the guy who people used to slam doors, in his face. But I had to make the sale. So
But apart from having a thick skin,
yeah.
do you take feedback?
So for me, the feedback is in the failing or the failure, right? The feedback is when you do something that doesn't quite work. That's enough feedback for you to go. But you don't need anybody to come and tell you, although it'll be great if somebody comes and say, hey, perhaps you could have done this a little bit better. And that's fine. What you would not listen to, and I would not accept it, is somebody talking down, and turning it into something else entirely. But for me, again, as I said, the feedback is in the work. If the work that I've done isn't well received, it just tells me you have to go work harder, you have to go work smarter, and I use that to get better. And we've seen actors get better over time. We've seen filmmakers get better over time. And so that's the process of life. Again, you really do need that thick skin, because what you do not want is to be discouraged. You don't want that the words, there's this thing about sticks and stones.
Maybe bronze.
Words, that's not true. Words can hurt, words can damage, words can kill. And that's real, mental health wise, I think people underestimate the power of their words on people's mental health and what that could potentially mean for that person. I think when people think that they're just catching cruise and it's all vibes and inshallah, when you're actually killing someone, from the inside out. And I worry about what I see, especially on social media. It's okay to say, I didn't like that. You can do better. Perhaps do this or do that. But when it becomes, it's like you're pouring out, and I understand where it's coming from. Like, Nigeria is hard. Nigeria is tough. Our government isn't helping, And so people are angry, and it feels like they're trying to pour that anger on somebody else. And these are filmmakers, right? The actors, everybody in the film industry, we're all trying to take your mind off the issues that you're going through. We're all providing entertainment that can sort of elevate your mind, and your soul, and heal you. We're trying to heal you. We're not out to hurt you, And so it worries me when I see people who just want to just throw bile, that's coming out of the inside of them. And I recognize it for what it is, which is a good thing for me. I recognize it and I say, this person is hurting. I can choose to ignore this person. And for the most part, I will ignore these people. But there's sometimes, just sometimes, that a scapegoat. Yeah, sometimes some people back off a little bit when they realize that, this would not work out well. If you come for this person, he'll come for you.
So we've had a massive influx now of streaming platforms. There's a lot of focus right now on Nigeria, on Africa, Nigeria. Is this good for Nollywood?
Half and half.
What does that mean?
Half and half. So it's the one of the few good things it's done is it's taken our stories to global platforms where the world can see them, right? Where more of the world can see them, because Nollywood has always been a global phenomenon. It has also, we've also seen more investments, so people are getting paid more, slightly more, sometimes significantly more, I wouldn't lie. Sometimes significantly more. But then, because we are in a global capitalist economy, so to speak, and these platforms are coming from economies where they are well versed in capitalism, they will, you can't blame them. There will be undue advantage, because they're dealing with a system that is not as advanced as where they're coming from. So there will be undue advantage. So the onus is on them, to identify the gaps, right, and not take undue advantage. I, for one, have always questioned. I went to a conference the other day and I stood up and I asked, what is the value of African content? And why is it that everything that comes out of Africa, like our resources, our minerals, it's cheap in Africa, but the minute it crosses over, it's more expensive, right? The same thing with our content. What is the value of African content? Why are we told that that our content isn't premium, right? Whereas the Black nation, I call everybody, who's of African descent, no matter how far removed you are from Africa, watches and consume Nollywood content, from the Caribbean to South America to North America. They consume. So there's value to it. You can't limit the value of our content to our continent, because we're a global phenomenon, right? So those are the questions that I ask myself sometimes, and I worry and I wonder, could this be like real estate, location? Do I need to do the old Japa?
Relocate.
Yeah, this whole relocation thing, and try to figure it out. It's a continuous question that I'm having to ask myself.
If there's any film that has been done already that you would have loved to have been a part of, what film would that be? Me, I know my film. It's Harry Potter. I would have loved to be in Harry Potter.
Hollywood film?
No, me, I have the liberty, do you understand, to fly out with my own film, but your own film is here because you're a Nollywood actor for now.
I really enjoyed watching Anikulapo. I did. I enjoyed it, and that's one of the probably. If I've ever felt like, I wish that I'd been in a film, I can't remember. But Anikulapo, I'm like, wow. And it's not even about what part or what character that I played. I would have just loved to be in that universe that was built. Kudos to Kunle, Aflaya,
and the rest, and everyone. Yeah. There's been a lot of remakes, a lot of Nollywood remakes, so many. Many of them haven't lived up to their original form, the original format. What is your take?
So
to redo or not to redo?
So it's hard. It's hard to fight nostalgia. It's hard to compete with nostalgia.
Because that's what they're competing with.
I know, but
because it's not like they had better cameras then, or even better locations.
Yeah.
But what is it about those films that it would seem no remake or reboot has topped?
Have you thought about the other aspect of this.
Which is?
What if our palettes for film has evolved? What if when we were consuming that content, you know, we were at that level and now we're asking for more, which is a valid ask.
Yeah, but if you're asking for more, you're asking for more in today's market with new cameras, new actors, you know, with better
Hollywood,
technology.
Competing with Hollywood, because that's the palette that we're now accustomed to, right?
I guess.
So filmmakers are having to elevate their films to what we are now used to consuming, which is a good thing, but let's all still realize that that's what's going on. Right? So when you compare the two, the nostalgia, the fact that, hey, we weren't that exposed to a lot of, you know, like the kind of content that we're seeing now, doesn't mean though that we can't do better, and we can. We can and we will. And we should have those remakes or redos or sequels. Yeah, because again, if you had something that was good and you feel you can make it better, and you know,
yeah, why not?
Why not?
There's so many great Hollywood films that are that are remakes.
So Top Gun.
So after
how many years?
Absolutely,
Decades.
and it's done phenomenally well.
It might be currently be the highest grossing.
I think so. I believe I read that somewhere. What's your process?
Trade secret. It's not a trade secret. Like, I just do a lot of work. Right now, I can say this. I am preparing for a role where some ex-military officer, who's suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. Yeah.
That's interesting.
No, it's not.
It is, because
I'm having to.
I mean, challenging for you, but interesting because that's not a storyline that we're accustomed to.
But it's a really interesting character. I'm having to talk to military officers and, you know, therapists. Some scary stuff out there. Scary stuff. Now I realize that from what I've learned that, you know what, I think at least 80% of Nigerians are probably suffering from PTSD.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I'm telling you.
Advice for actors on the come up. You know, get advice. You know what motivates Ajay?
Hey, aspire to
Ajay
inspire.
motivates me.
aspire to inspire. Your dreams are valid. Your dreams are valid. Is a very good start. But just give it your all. You know, from my experience, if you give truly, this might sound corny, if you give more value than you're paid for, eventually you'll be paid much more for the value that you bring.
I like that. So now you're in the full summer of your life. Are you in the full summer of your life? Early summer.
Spring-ish.
Spring.
Toward the end of spring, you know, it's about to start.
It's about to blow up.
I think that the last 9 years, as I'm entering in my 10th year as an actor, has been a rehearsal for what's to come. I really do believe that.
What is to come?
Bigger things.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you. So because of the way that I was supported getting into the industry, from a scholarship to just all the really great people that I met, who helped me as a young struggling actor, I've sort of made it, you know, one of my goals to try to help people. Hence why I do the business of acting sessions. But then I'm going a bit further. Over the next few weeks, I'll be announcing a film fund. A film fund that is targeted at telling social impact stories. So these societal ills that we're faced with, from domestic violence, sexual abuse, all of these things, drug abuse and the likes, we're telling stories, social impact stories that will bring these things to the fore so we can have conversations about them. But even as important is the fact that each of these films would serve as a learning platform, a training platform for the next generation of African, not just Nigerian, African filmmakers and actors. And that for me really is even more important than any role or any type of film that I would be in, in the coming years. So that's something that
How much is the film fund going to be worth?
Ooh. So we're starting off with a very humble sum of 100 million naira spread across several films.
Motivate me. 100 million. I'll come. I'll impact socially. I'm ready.
Come through.
Social impact.
All of my friends, people are ready to contribute equipment. Talking to some equipment manufacturers, they're ready. Some brands are also saying they want to be a part of this. Part of their CSR is youth empowerment. Some are facing some societal issues they're dealing with. So a lot of people, actors, are telling me, "Yo, sign me up." Of course, if a big name actor decides to contribute their time and their image to a film, it elevates the film, and of course, then it impacts the careers of everybody, in front and behind the camera. So I'm just happy to be a medium, I guess, to bringing this to life.
I think we're good. This has been fun.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you
for sitting with me. It's been a long time coming.
Yes, it has.
Those days when you used to come see my neighbor upstairs, that's Ufoma, by the way, Ufoma McDermott. You guys have come a long way. You've come a long way.
Thank you.
Come a long way. Well done. See you at the top of the top. At the top of the top. I'll see you at the top of the top.
We'll see.
Because we up.
We're good. Only
Okay.
up. Only up.